I thought we'd start by showing you some clips from the upcoming season of Mythbusters, which starts airing on July 18th. You want to see it? Excellent. Let's roll the videotape.
You know, Adam, I was thinking we should do another Star Wars episode.
Seriously, I mean, it's a fictional universe. I'm just not sure how much material there is to test.
I find your lack of faith upsetting. I mean, disturbing.
Okay, well, are you gonna be in here all day? Because we could get started doing some other stuff.
Nah, you go ahead. I like it in here. It's private.
This summer, the Mythbusters are back as they take on science in a way that's bigger and better than ever before.
Mommy, I don't like barbecues at Jamie's house.
I like this thing. It's kind of cute, isn't it? I'm ready.
Come on! Yeah! They're gonna break bad. And they're gonna crash and burn. Because this time,
This is terrifying.
they're gunning for the truth.
Here we go.
Man, the tension here is more than I would have thought it would be.
Pretty cool, huh?
And for the first time in their history, they're also exploring the final frontier as Adam and Jamie boldly go where no Mythbuster has gone before.
Here we go. We are taking off. Oh, man. That is a lot of horsepower. Wow, we're already lifting. That's crazy. Whoa! There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, 70,000 feet. At this point, aside from the 6 astronauts on the space station, we are the 2 highest humans off of planet Earth.
So I am here for an hour to take your questions. Want to talk about, what I've done at the con, talk about the next season of Mythbusters, talk about the future of the show, talk about whatever you want to talk about. I love it here at Comic-Con, and Jamie is back in San Francisco taking care of some of his business, so you've just got me. Let's start talking. Who's got a question? We've got a mic there in the middle of the aisle, and we've got a young man who has immediately got a question. Cosplay. Okay. So, yes, Adam Incognito has already happened at Comic-Con 3 times. Yeah. We actually have some photographs to show you. The first cosplay happened yesterday morning. I hit the floor in an uncharacteristically shitty costume with my friend Alton Brown. We were the twins from The Matrix. Yes, that was our pose. And yeah, the best was that IO9 actually published a photo of us this morning without realizing it was us. That's like, I feel like we win the internet. Later on that day, I did another Stormtrooper type of walkthrough. I gathered together with some other Judge Dreads. Yes, I got a Judge Dredd 2012 costume, and we patrolled for a little while. I had Savage on my badge. And the first people to recognize me, they were just asking to take a picture with Dredd, and they're like, "Oh, Dredd, could we take?" Oh my God! And there was this other cool thing. There I am. Do you know about the thing of like if you frown too long, you'll actually get in a bad mood? I was actually kind of nervous about that. So underneath the mask, my eyes are really bright and shiny. And then the third walkthrough happened this morning, another partner walkthrough. I wanted to build these spacesuits from 2001 for years, and this year I finally completed a 5-year build to build the silver Clavius-based spacesuits that Heywood Floyd and his team ride while investigating the Tycho crater. And I did it with my friend Chris Hadfield, the astronaut from the International Space Station. Yes! So, check this out. This is me being dressed by an astronaut, and I'm one up on him because he's never put on a fake spacesuit before. Let's the next photo there. Yes, there we are, getting ready. These suits, because I remembered my lesson from last year in the alien suit and almost getting heat stroke, these have a fully integrated cooling system with a CERT that has tubing in it pumping ice water, and we were very comfortable the whole time. I also replicated the lunch boxes that Heywood Floyd eats lunch out of. Frank Ippolito did the casting for me, and they're genuinely filled with actual sandwiches, which we ate at the end of our walk. There's my cosplay this year. Oh, and wait. There in the left-hand side of that photo, that guy with the hat on, that's freaking Andy Weir who wrote The Martian. And that's Andy realizing that that must be me and Chris Hadfield. Yeah, this is totally fun. All right, first question. Who's got the first question there?
Hi, I just want to say first that I love Mythbusters. I've been in with it since the beginning. Something that really excited me about this last season was the Indiana Jones special.
Yeah.
Especially the whip jump, I got really excited about. And I think I speak for everyone when we were on the edge of our seats hoping that you would make it.
Yeah, me too.
What was your thought process behind that episode, especially getting to that climactic ending? How much were you geeking out about
Oh
it,
my
especially?
God, so geeking out. So geeking out because, all I had to do was go to the portion of my wardrobe closet in my shop and just pick off the Indiana Jones costume. And the whip was actually, we wanted a special whip made to the highest standard. So the original Raiders whips were all made by David Morgan up in Washington State. And David Morgan has trained an entire generation of American and foreign whip makers in the art of making whips. He built all the whips for the first three Raiders films. Apparently there's a fourth, I haven't heard about it. And he made them all out of kangaroo hide. And back when I was a younger lad in the mid-90s, I decided to teach myself whip making, as you saw in the episode, and I built one out of cowhide, and then I found this book that said David Morgan had built them out of kangaroo hide, and it turned out that David Morgan was still the company you could order kangaroo hide from, so I called them up, and I said, hey, I've got some questions about whip making, and they said, hold on a second, and this guy came on the phone and said, this is David Morgan. And he spent 90 minutes on the phone with me, talking me through what I had learned and some changes that I had made to the booklet I had, and basically gave me a tutorial in whip making, and then picked out a hide for me and sent it to me. And that was my first whip. So when we wanted to make this episode, we contacted him. He's no longer making whips, but his son, Ron, made our whip for us. It's 10 feet long. It is absolutely rough and tumble. And to walk out onto our set with the chasm and the painting that our camera team did, to see the log with the whip at my side, I was like, oh my God, I have waited my whole life for this moment. There is no other circumstance. I get to actually try this out. There's nothing better than what's going on right now. Next question. It's like the ultimate it's like, you guys know, you build a costume, and just building and wearing the costume is only like a third of the costume's fulfillment. The rest is wearing it and going and seeing other people wearing the same versions of your costume and seeing other people. It's like the wearing of the costume brings it into its full life. And I had worn that Raiders costume before, but on that episode, it achieved a fulfillment, and now it has gravity. Yes.
I was wondering, when you first started filming Mythbusters, how many seasons or episodes do you originally think it was gonna make?
So we were contracted, as I've told the story before, but basically we sent in a demo reel. Discovery liked it. We started filming 3 pilots 2 weeks later. We shot for 6 weeks in the summer of 2002. And at the end of that, they went back to Australia to edit for a few months. Jamie called me up at the end of the 6 weeks and said, I'm going to get rid of this Chevy Impala because I just clogging up my driveway. I said, okay, that seems kind of short-sighted. I mean, the show may get picked up. And he's like, well, I don't know what they're going to do because I think we've done everything. And remember, we came from behind the scenes, and like the only rule of the entertainment business is that like nothing ever really happens. You know, your show won't get picked up for a pilot, and if it does, it's not going to get picked up for series. So we shot those pilots with no expectations, and then, oh, something exciting's happening over there. And then when it got picked up, again, it's like they ordered 13 episodes. So like, well, that's how many we'll make. And that happened pretty much every year until we'd been doing it for about 5 years. And then we're like, we think this thing's got some momentum. But seriously, you know, Jamie could be caught with a couple of hookers in his car and the whole bottom could drop out. You never know. Jamie almost never hires hookers.
Hi, I've been watching Mythbusters since I was probably like that tall. You've been such a like great influence. I seriously love you.
Oh, I love you too.
I was wondering what inspired you to get into special effects.
I had wanted to get into special effects since I was 10 years old and saw Star Wars. Seriously. You know,
Star Wars is awesome.
I remember, you know, when Star Wars first came out, it was sort of a slow burn at first, and then there was all this media about it, magazines and Fangoria, and you know, all these magazines came out. And I remember one of them finished at the end of the magazine, the back page, it was all about Star Wars, was a picture of George, you know, and he's like, whatever, 30 at that point. And it just was a little picture of him and a title that said, Our Hero. And it was like, you know, the fearless leader that made all this possible. And it was that page that made me realize that people made this stuff, that it was created by humans for entertainment, both for themselves and for us. And then I started to read about the model makers that put this stuff together and this, you know, that beautiful aesthetic of Star Wars, that used world. It's so tangible. Someone asked me yesterday, Star Trek or Star Wars, which is, you know, it's like the question of Comic-Con, Mac versus PC. And I realized actually they're apples and oranges because Star Trek is very specifically, for me personally, it's the intellectual thrill of science fiction, whereas Star Wars is the visceral aesthetic and textural thrill of science fiction. They occupy two totally different parts of my brain. And that storytelling that goes on with the used ships, I'd been wanting to do that since I saw Star Wars. And that got me all the way to actually working on Star Wars, episodes 1 and 2. Sorry about those.
I have a crack team of 11-year-old girls at home who
Excellent.
They
that
are
sounds
madly
very dangerous.
texting me things to ask you. And what they most want to know is what inspired you to start doing Mythbusters, and how many times have you been injured blowing yourself up?
I guess technically the only blowing myself up was when I burnt off an eyebrow. So that's one. The worst injury I've ever gotten was I broke a finger moving a piece of safety equipment. It is the most common Mythbusters injury. Those blast panels that we use weigh 175 pounds, and we've broken 4 fingers over the years on Mythbusters. Yeah, but you know, that's relatively minor. I actually have a whole folder in my creative projects folder of all my stitches. So whenever I'm in the hospital getting stitches, happens frequently, I can't watch them put the Novocaine in. I can't look at that. But as soon as the Novocaine's in, I watch them sew it up and I take lots of pictures. I know it sounds horrible, but it looks so cool. That's actually something I loved about the Daredevil series. Tons of visible stitches happening all the time. As far as what inspired me to do Mythbusters, you know, we were hired talent at the beginning. It wasn't our idea of the show. It just turned out that the central theme of the show dovetailed perfectly with the fact that we were genuinely interested in these questions we were answering and genuinely interested in how to answer those questions. So we became dedicated to a rigorous methodology. And it really has fundamentally changed the way we think. I now think of myself as a science, if not a scientist, a scientific thinker because of what Mythbusters has shown me in terms of building a rigorous methodology. It's been amazing. Yeah. We are going to have a special guest questioner come out right now. Will you please give a warm hand to my excellent friend, Phil Plait, the bad astronomer. Hello, sir.
Hello, Adam.
Yes, this is like a mystery panel. Phil, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing pretty well now that I'm here with you.
Yes.
Nameless person.
Oh.
Oh, curse you, Adam Savage. I do have a question. At 1 minute and 23 seconds into the trailer, as we should have a still photo of here in a moment, you're holding a large weapon. Ah, there it is right there.
Yes.
You can take a look up. Can you see it right?
Yep.
Yeah, it says mass 23.5 pounds.
Yeah.
This actually isn't a question so much as a comment.
Oh, no, I figured that part out.
Yeah, okay.
I know that mass isn't weight. I didn't write that. Is that my only excuse? So one of the things you've noticed last season in the stuff we aired in January and what's coming up in July and August is that we've been layering in more information. And we have this wonderful graphics person, Katie, in Australia, who we now give an extra week after we finish an episode to just keep on going in and layering in more information. Unfortunately, sometimes, as a layperson, we end up with things like, well, mass must equal pounds.
Right.
I'm sorry, Phil.
Well, for those of you who aren't sure, a mass is typically measured in grams or kilograms, and then it's the effect of Earth's gravity on mass that gives it a force, and that is what we measure as weight, and that is measured in pounds. So it's two different units on the surface of the Earth, interchangeable, willing to forgive this, so confirmed.
Thank you, sir. May I pour you a nice glass of water?
I don't know if I trust you to do that now. There you go.
All right. That's probably 8 ounces of water.
You think so? Let's see, how many moles do you think that is? Any guesses? Yeah.
I could drown 1 mole in this glass. Next question.
Hi, I just want to say I've loved Mythbusters ever since the first episode I saw. I've been addicted, which was the Daddy Longlegs episode.
You sound like you play with matches. I'm just saying. No judgment.
I was wondering if you ever thought about doing another Christmas special.
We got in so much trouble because at the end of one Christmas special, I said, next time we'll do Santa. I didn't know that was still a thing. What do you have any suggestions for a Christmas special? I mean, killing someone with an icicle seems pretty awesome. We did want to see if you could fit. Well, what were we trying now? Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
I don't know. You have the best suggestions.
Okay, for Christmas, yeah, I don't know. Sugar plum fairies in your head, the luster of moon on the new fallen snow. Sorry, the light of the moon on the new fallen snow, get the luster of midday to objects below. You could test that. I'm not saying it would be good. All right, next question.
Hi, Adam. I just wanted to know, what was your greatest aha moment?
Oh, man, they happen all the time. You mean professionally or personally? Right?
You found out the moon landings were really fake.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay, yeah.
Dude, Uncle Sam. It's a constant process. I think that at the moment I stop having aha moments, I'm probably dead. I'm serious. It's like I'm almost 50 at this point, and I'm still feeling like I'm learning brand new things every day about moving through the world, about taking care of myself, about understanding and breaking down projects. Don't you feel like that?
Absolutely, all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and as far as Mythbusters goes, I'm wrong so many times that it's like, aha, I was wrong. That's like a daily occurrence. I will say, one of my favorites was we were doing Penny Drop in the first season. Will a penny from the Empire State Building kill you when it hits the ground? And we had math that described how fast a penny hits the ground. But I didn't want to just show math. I wanted to demonstrate it. And a penny has two terminal velocities, one on its face and one on its edge. And so I built a wind tunnel that could do that. I couldn't find anyone that had done that. I couldn't find any reference for that. And yet, when I did it, it worked. And that, to me, was one of those first aha moments of Mythbusters in terms of what my real job was, which was figuring out an innovative way to tell the story of what's happening rather than just tell the facts of what's happening, to show people rather than tell people. Now, in terms of telling people really awesome things, does anyone here read Tested.com? Follow us on Tested? Yeah! Can we have a big hand, because they're all here, for the Tested team, Will Smith, Norman Chan, and Joey Fameli? Yeah! So if you follow Tested and you listen to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage podcast, you probably know that I'm obsessed with Andy Weir's book, The Martian. So it's especially awesome that Andy Weir is here to come out and ask a question. How about that? Hello, sir.
Thank you.
Andy, would you like a would you like a water?
Sure, I'll take a mole.
The what? The containment panel. That sounds like a panel you shouldn't remove.
The containment panel. So, hey, how you doing?
Very good, sir. How are you?
Good, good. So I have a question.
Can I just say how excited I am for The Martian?
Me too.
Like, I can barely take it. I already have a folder of about 200 photos of that freaking spacesuit because I am definitely cosplaying in it at some point.
I was wondering if you were going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty complicated one.
Oh, I've already bought several pieces of it.
Excellent. Well done. Well done. I've seen his collection in the interview with us.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry.
In the interview with us, you see about, I don't know, like 1 second of me in his workshop. But I spent like, I don't know, an hour or two there looking at all of his stuff. It's an awesome collection. So here's my question for you. You did a Star Wars thing. Would you ever do a Martian thing? Where you test out some of the...
Oh, yeah, no, totally, completely, absolutely. The idea, raising the potatoes in limited environment with only the splitting the hydrazine to get the water...
Well, now that'll burn your eyebrow out.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. It's on our list.
Excellent, excellent. One thing I was thinking would be, the thing that when I wrote it, I was the... That's right, that's me.
Sorry.
This is what happens. Yeah.
Do not enrage me. No, even when I wrote it, I was like not 100% sure, and I still haven't really gotten a clear answer, even from NASA folks on it. But if you were impaled by a piece of metal through a spacesuit and it was at an oblique angle, would the blood actually counteract it to something that a spacesuit could theoretically deal with? And so it's like, how would you even test that?
Oh, no, that's...
I mean, it would be a bad day for Buster, right?
We could localize it, right? We could localize it to torso, everything from here to here.
Right.
And that makes it a little less gross. And then make a sealed spacesuit with a cap, and a cap. Right, and put pork butt in there.
Well, yeah,
pork
but you
shoulder.
also need a source of blood.
Oh, right. That's awesome. So
and traditionally, when they need fluids, they take yours, right? So.
Wow.
They
we
need
could.
A
I could give
blood.
a pint.
Yeah.
I could give a pint, and we could pump it out because it would coagulate, right? I'd put it out through a fake wound.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is so awesome. We are totally doing that.
Sweet.
That is. Why hasn't NASA done that?
I'm sure they've done all sorts of tests.
Or maybe they're busy.
Maybe they've got other better things to do.
All right, next question.
Hey, Adam, this is a question for you.
Yes.
This doesn't really have to do anything with the seasons of the show. I'm just curious. There's this YouTube channel called Epic Rap Battles of History.
Yeah.
And it has the Mythbusters rapping against the Ghostbusters. And I was curious if you saw it because it was awesome.
I totally saw it. I very much enjoyed the fact that the Mythbusters smoked the Ghostbusters. And I wasn't aware that Jamie could sing that well.
People can surprise you.
He surprises me every day. We were doing we were shooting something the other day, and I decided to, I was doing my Dr. Bones, and I went, Jim, Jim, Jim. And then I went, oh, wait, your name is actually Jim. Jamie, Jim. And I said, have you ever gone by Jamie? And Jamie was like, actually, yes. When I was 8 years old, I decided that Jamie was a girl's name, and for 5 years, I made everyone call me Jim. And I was like, there's a fact I didn't know about Jamie. I really thought I had them all. Next question.
Yes, I was wondering if there are certain categories or types of myths that in the future you will never attempt because it's too dangerous for you.
Too dangerous for me, particularly in person?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not above throwing up, so that's not a problem. There is...
Find out how fast smallpox could rage through America. Let's see.
Wow, that got dark. Actually, poison myths could be really, really difficult to test in any kind of safe way. Black widow, spiders, spider deadliness. I kind of got over my fear of spiders when I put my hand in a box full of hundreds of them, but I still don't want to get bitten by the chelicera of one of those big daddies. No, that's awful. I don't, this is an interesting segue. We can segue now. For poison myths, especially involving, let's say, foodborne illnesses, perhaps we should bring out my friend Alton Brown onto the stage.
I would like 17 milliliters of water, please.
Andy, can you help me out there?
17?
I want to say there was a slight conversation out here involving pork butt. Was
Pork
there not?
butt.
Okay, first off, pork butt is named after a kind of barrel called a butt.
What?
And it was pickled and put in there. That's why it's shoulder, not butt.
But
that's about 17 milliliters.
A pork has 4 shoulders and 2 of them are butts.
No, a pork does not have. No, a pork has 2 shoulders, and they're both butts. It's just that we don't call the pork's butt a butt. But call it an ass, dummy.
Okay.
It's glad we got that out of the way.
Okay.
All right, I have 3 questions. That's not 17 milliliters, but...
That is totally 17 milliliters.
All right, I've decided to ask you 3 questions based on the premise of worst. Worst.
All right.
Worst fight with Jamie Heineman.
Yeah.
I think we all want to know.
Yeah.
Because they look so chummy. I've been on the show.
Yeah, we don't get along. But we used to not get along much worse, because in the first 2 seasons of Mythbusters, we had an executive producer who tried to make the show more interesting, as you know sometimes producers can, by winding us up. And the British have this great expression for it. When you whisper in someone's ear to tell them things that will make them mad about someone else, they call it pissing in your ears. That is so appropriate. And we were doing the one where we're trying to raise a boat with ping pong balls. And Jamie had come up with the wonderful and amazing idea of just using water down a hose that was wide enough for ping pong balls to use the head pressure to drag ping pong balls down to the bottom of the ocean, and it worked magnificently. But it worked magnificently in this one test we'd done, and I wanted a second test, and he insisted on not doing it. And when I got angry, he called me a baby, which we're freaking adults. That is.
So how did that come out? Was I like, Adam, you're a baby?
No, and he was. No. So he's not very demonstrative when he gets mad. I am. And I was raising my voice. And he said, whatever, you big baby. That was the maddest I have ever gotten on set. Then we realized that we weren't mad at each other. And we've gotten along pretty well ever since.
You're leaving out the fun part of the story, which is what you said after he called you a baby.
There's children in the audience.
Okay. I'll accept that. We'll just fill in those blanks ourselves. All right. Worst failure of a rig or scientific premise on your
It was
part?
22,000 foot fall. My job was to raise a ballistic scale dummy above our train station to drop him from terminal velocity, which is 450 feet, from weather balloons. And it was during a heat wave in Northern California. It was 118 degrees in the shade. And our latex was literally rotting as we brought it out of the package. We had bought every weather balloon in the United States at the time that we could afford, because we had a very low budget at that point. And I had worked out everything except the transition between the clip onto the ballistic gel dummy and him getting on weight, just transferring his weight from the ground to the balloons. And there was this 1 foot gap. And I realized it too late that there was this gap, and I was like, it'll be fine, I'll just cut this line. And I cut the line, and 5 separate people, each holding a rope to the balloons, got rope burns. And the guy went straight up, and then I was the only one holding on to him. And I started to make those sounds that you just don't make when you're kidding. And everyone came, and basically what this meant was, the other thing I should tell you is, because it was 118 degrees and this involved an explosion, the heat in Northern California, and it was so dry, meant that we couldn't film past 10 a.m. So we had gotten to the set at 4 a.m. that morning and rigged everything by car headlights. That single screw-up meant that was supposed to be our last day of shooting. We had to come back again the next morning at 3 a.m. to reset everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, I felt pretty crappy.
All right, last of my worst questions. Worst event live on stage
Oh.
during the tour.
It's in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Is what?
Well, no,
what we
I
have in mind.
was in Texas.
You were where?
I was in Texas. Yeah, someone's like, well, there's your problem. Yeah. No, Texas is great. We should be filming Mythbusters in Texas, because they'd allow us to blow up everything. But someone said something about football, and I, who am not a very sporting type of man, said, is that the game with the pointy ball? And in this college town, the whole audience was like, and you know, as a performer, sometimes the only response is to come, like in poker, over the top. And I went, hey! And they were all like, and I was like, it was just a joke. And they were like, okay.
But for a moment.
Yeah, for a moment I lost them completely.
Yeah. Because California boys sometimes just disappear in Texas. They just go away. Well, that concludes my questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking it down a notch.
That's why I'm here.
Next question. And by the way, if you have questions for any of these fine gentlemen on stage, please ask them.
Hi, Adam.
Hello.
As being a huge fan of Mythbusters and of Breaking Bad, and after seeing the trailer for the upcoming season, what myth that you are going to tackle has been your most exciting Breaking Bad myth?
Oh, you know, the acid, the 250-foot tall plume of smoke from using the acid to dissolve a body was pretty freaking special. We use this, am I allowed to say this? Probably not, but I'll say it anyway. No, wait, I'm not. Okay, cool. Chill out. The acid we use to dissolve the body is a mixture of, it's called piranha. Yeah.
Shut up.
No, I know.
I want the recipe right now. Ooh.
Yeah, there you go.
It's that easy to make?
But actually, no. What we tested in the clip, of course, is Walter White's machine gun booby-trapped Cadillac at the end of Breaking Bad. I'm not allowed to say any more about it because my wife is here and has been watching Breaking Bad. She just got to the end of season 4 this morning. Yeah, with the and the and. So now we're in the last 16, man, and you know what it's like. Every single episode is so messed up. So I can't say anything about that booby trap, but it was freaking great. And Vince Gilligan, for the guy who's thought of the darkest shit I've ever imagined, sorry, Just remember, it's really gross to hear curses come out of children's mouths, but it's cool for adults.
It's all in the timber delivery.
Vince, for thinking of some of the darkest plots I've ever imagined, is the sweetest, most friendliest guy alive. Yes, next question.
Hi, I just want to say I'm a really big fan of the show, and I love science. And I can't wait for the next Star Wars episode.
Yes!
Could you give us any hints or teasers about that?
Oh, about Star Wars? Well, you know, I didn't work on it. I mean, I wanted to. I still want to. I can't tell you stuff that I know. I've heard it's great.
I think she means the next Mythbusters Star Wars.
Oh, the Mythbusters Star Wars special.
Yeah.
Wow, I was totally derailed by my own desire to talk about Star Wars.
I was just going to let him swing for a while. I was quite enjoying this, actually.
Well, we tested the myth at the end of episode something or other, in which Obi-Wan says, "It's over, Anakin. I have the higher ground." So it involved a lot of Jamie and I smacking each other with kendo sticks. And there's this really funny rule, is that Lucasfilm has been fantastic with us. Disney and Lucasfilm have been great. They've let us test all sorts of stuff, but they have this very specific rule. It's like, yes, you can do lightsabers. You can make the kendo sticks look like lightsabers, but they can't actually cross. They can't do that. I have no idea why. I'm kind of fascinated by it.
But you can make the noise, right?
Yeah,
with your mouth.
Yeah. But, you know, in case there's any more space myths, perhaps we should bring out an expert. Will you please welcome Commander Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut? So, I gotta tell you, first of all, I got to be present when Phil Plait, the bad astronomer, finally met in person Chris Hadfield this morning in my hotel room. That sounded dirtier than I intended.
It was dirtier than you said.
But the other is that Chris and Alton and I were just on a Nerd HQ panel in which Chris sucked all the oxygen out of the panel because that's all anyone wanted to talk about was space.
I mean, when your opening line is, "Hi, I'm an astronaut." Good night, everybody.
So, do you have water in a bag with a straw?
Hold on a second. Oh, I'm not wearing my catheter today. If you think that's bad, you should hear what I say when the cameras aren't rolling.
So, thank you. I've been hugely inspired by the imagination of science fiction and science fantasy my whole life. And it's what kind of inspired me to become an astronaut, because it opened my whole mind to the idea. But now that I've had the chance to live out some of those dreams, now when I see some of the movies, some of it still really takes me away. You know, like you get completely involved, but sometimes there's something where it's either technically wrong or there's something wrong with it when I'm looking at it that I lose the whole bubble and it really distracts me. But rather than just Mythbusters, from your previous life and all of your expertise, what is the best, a movie that completely took you away, or a special effect that blew you away? And then what's the one that just made you cringe the worst, that was the worst for you?
You know, it's funny, that suspension of disbelief, people ask me about it all the time. I mean, they ask probably all of us about it. You know, knowing stuff on a technical level, does it harm your ability to enjoy fantasies? And I keep on redounding to the idea that it doesn't. What knocks me out is bad storytelling. You know, and I still maintain that while the orbital mechanics are a complete and utter mess in Gravity, that the plot moves me much more than the beautiful, yet plot not interesting to me, Interstellar. You know, and I agree. Their science is wonderful, and there's absolutely visually gorgeous. But it didn't move me in my heart. The science fiction movie actually that I find the most affecting still remains The Abyss. Yeah, I want to tell you, every single time Virgil Brigman brings his wife back to life, I weep like a baby. Absolutely. Next question.
So Adam, I know you're a huge Quadcopter fan. I've been loving the stuff with the Inspire 1, everything you guys are doing on Tested is really awesome. I want to get into doing Quadcopter stuff. I'm wondering what's a good place to sort of jump in without getting, too deep, too expensive, something going to crash. Also, do you have any good, beginner tips for newbie flyers?
Yeah, there's a lot of platforms that are really inexpensive entries into the field. I mean, for $150, you can get a camera copter, and really, if you learn on one of those, the more expensive ones will be easier to fly. So it's great to start at the low end. My advice would be read about the mistakes that people are making. For instance, in California, we're having some trouble in the wildfire season that some idiots are taking large UAVs is what we should call them. They're not drones, and they're not actually correctly called quadcopters. They're unmanned aerial systems. And there are idiots who are taking large unmanned aerial systems and filming forest fires from a height of thousands of feet that are actually stopping firefighting planes from being able to drop their water on forest fires. That is a tangible and terrible thing to be happening. There's a lot of newbie mistakes like that, like flying out of your line of sight. Don't do it. There are some really simple things. And Tested, we're just about to, we've covered a lot of that because everybody enjoying UAVs right now is sort of representing the whole field. So if you fly one through your neighbor's window, your neighbor's going to spend the rest of their life telling everyone they know how terrible those things are. So we all have that kind of responsibility. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello, Adam. My name is Peter. I work with a makerspace back where I live.
Excellent.
And we're building a pinball table for our local genre con. We have a con out there. And I'd like to know what you think would be the coolest toy to mount on a pinball table.
The coolest toy to mount on a pinball table? You mean like the coolest obstacle or thing to...
gizmo or widget.
Oh, wow. I always like the wheels that turn, like the when there's a spinning plate, and so you have no idea which direction the ball's going to go in. That always makes me so mad, but I'm also kind of fascinated by it.
Put a big-ass electromagnet up there.
Wow.
Make them earn those points.
No, we were talking to a company about pinball games, and that was Jamie's idea. It was like, you could put random electromagnets and the ball will just stop. And we were like, that's not very sporty. He's like, yeah, but I won't expect it.
I'm starting to get an impression of you with the smallpox comment, and now torturing pinball players.
Yeah. No, you're getting on the right track.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. He invented a character and tortured him for an entire book.
Wow, that's true. Yeah.
That's true. He had a rough time.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, first off, this is my first Comic-Con, and seeing Alton Brown, the guy who sent me to culinary school, and Adam Savage, the guy who's now sending me to go do art degree, this is amazing. And I did get a picture of you in your spacesuit, and that was the one thing I wanted to do at con, so, oh my gosh. My question would be, as someone who's striving to get into a community where it's very difficult to get into art and make a name, how do you go about doing that? Because especially coming from a small town in Houston, Texas, there's no art, it's all football.
Yeah.
So San Diego is great, but I don't know where exactly to start. And knowing from someone who this is now their career and they had to start from somewhere, what advice would you have? As well as Alton Brown, Cutthroat Kitchen, piranha sauce.
Yeah.
What's that? What was the last part?
The piranha recipe he has?
Yeah. Cutthroat Kitchen. Yeah. Don't think I'm not already thinking of that for the kids edition.
Oh, man!
That'll teach the little bastards. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice.
Sorry.
You know, and I think actually everyone up here has an answer to this question. It's really important not to fall prey. We love narrative. As humans, we are born storytellers. It's actually our sole purpose in life, I've come to believe. And science is nothing but storytelling under really rigorous parameters. It really is. You know, a map of the universe, Phil will tell you, isn't a map of the universe. It's the best story we currently have about how the universe works. And we'll change that story if we need to. That story changes all the time, and we embrace narratives and we enjoy them in movies and books and television. But a narrative that's written for entertainment is very linear by necessity, and a life is not. And make no mistake that none of the lives you see up here was linear. You say this in your book, actually. Please don't imagine that I planned everything out. You say, you know, it didn't feel linear at the time. I was making the best decision with the best data I had and was making left turns and wrong turns and right turns. So my advice would be, don't keep too much concentrated on the ultimate future. Just be honest about what's important for you in the moment. Every single one of us had, decades of missed opportunities and wrong turns before finding the right thing that we did. The trick for me was staying honest and learning how to work hard about it. Andy, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. A lot of people say, like, wow, it's amazing. Your first book did all so well and everything like that. That was my third book. My first book was so bad, no copies of it exist. The second book was merely bad. And I also spent like 10 years writing and building up an audience and stuff like that. So you just, I think, keep at it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, be honest with yourself and be ready to make mistakes and learn from them.
I got one to throw on top of that. Nobody ever looks for their car keys with binoculars. And what I mean by that is we get so focused on what our future is going to be that we absolutely make stupid plays right in front of us. So, life is not meant to be viewed like, okay, in 20 years I'm going to have this, that, and the other. No, you're probably not. But, you use a wide-angle lens, use two eyes to look for your car keys, and I think you should probably live life that way and make your decisions about your work that way.
And
that was deep.
I agree with that. I think the way you expressed it is good. You have a long-term goal in mind. You've got some sort of guideline to decide what you're going to do next. But life is not really about a long-term goal. Life is just the cumulative result of all the things you decided to do next. Like, what am I going to do this evening, or what am I going to do tomorrow morning? And it's worth thinking about that, because those are the decisions that really matter. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do after that? And then keep herding them along, like it's a whole bunch of sheep in your life that you're trying to get up to some pasture.
Totally.
And there's a lot of ways to get up there, but just keep herding your life along with all the little decisions and expect most of them to go wrong. But keep that long-term goal in mind, and that's really how everybody got to where they are in this room today, including those of us sitting up here.
And there's two types of those decisions. There's ones in terms of your career and the creative output that you want to do, and the other is actually, I think, even more important. It's about your quality of life. We make decisions based on our careers, but also on our families and our days and how much sleep we want to get and where we want to live and how we want our job to feel. I've gotten more out of thinking how I want a work experience to feel than I have about what I want to actually be doing there. So really think about your quality of life, about the way you want to take care of your partner and your family and your kids and your parents. All of those things really matter in terms of achieving your long-term goals.
Also, if someone offers you command of a space station, say yes.
I agree with that.
So earlier this year, a couple years ago, I bought a Captain Kirk's command chair on eBay, and it was so bad, it sat in my shop and enraged me long enough until I built my own. And yes, and it's perfect for me. I'm not going to say it's perfect because nothing is, but Chris was actually in town in San Francisco a couple months ago, and we went out to dinner, and after dinner we went over to my cave, and he sat down in my captain's chair, and he gave a little jaunty Captain Kirk pose, and then he turned to my mom, and he said, I have actually commanded a space station. A spaceship, yes. And I was all like, dude, are you pushing up on my mom?
And that's when all the air left the room again.
Last question.
I'm sorry. It better be good.
I feel a lot of pressure now. Okay.
You're speaking for everyone, so get this right, kid.
Okay. This is for Adam. With all of your years with special effects and Mythbusters, you've done a lot of things, and you've probably gotten like a scar or a bruise. Like, what's your most memorable, interesting, notable like scar that you've gotten, or something that you remember?
Memorable scar. God,
I wonder what's going through his head right now, like an inventory from head to
no, it
toe.
is. I'm starting up here and moving down.
Well, if you just strip down, we can take a look, and then we can decide.
You don't want to see all 7 of my chest hairs. I will actually say the most interesting scar came about as a result of an ear problem that I have, congenital ear problem, and it required a surgery called a tympanoplasty, in which they rebuilt my eardrum. Absolutely remarkable that they can do such a thing, and they made my hearing much better in this ear. But when they did it, they actually cut behind my ear and pulled it off my head. Just from the back. They left the front because that's the hinge. And then they worked around inside there and they put it back. And I have a photo that I took with a digital camera of a set of stitches up the back of my ear. And the most tangible result of this is I lost the ability to wiggle that ear. I used to be able to like make my glasses really tight. Yeah, I can't do it anymore. Those muscles no longer work. That can't be the last question. Let's take one more. Oh. Actually, the new play. Okay, all right. Can we give a wonderful hand to Andy Weir, Phil Plait, Alton Brown, and Chris Hadfield for coming up on stage?
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. We love you, Comic-Con. Thanks, guys.